Jack Silva, a former Navy SEAL, arrives in Benghazi, Libya, on assignment with the CIA's Global Response Staff, GRS. The year is 2012, and Benghazi remains a city in turmoil after the fall of Muammar Gaddafi. As Silva steps off the plane, he is greeted by his old friend and teammate Tyrone "Roan" Woods, who briefs him on the situation. The streets are unstable, full of local militias and untrustworthy security forces. The drive through the city to the CIA annex is tense, with Roan warning Silva that any wrong move could turn deadly. The annex itself is supposed to be a secret, low-profile base, but its location is widely known among locals, including militia members. The GRS team, composed of former Special Forces operatives, has been hired to protect CIA personnel and operations at the annex. They quickly brief Silva on the growing danger in the region and the fragile security arrangements with local allies. As Silva settles in, the team becomes increasingly aware that trouble is coming, they just don't know when. Trust is scarce and tensions are rising both outside and inside the compound. The sense of unease grows, leading directly into their next assignment, assessing the security of a nearby U.S. diplomatic compound, where the ambassador will soon arrive. The GRS team is tasked with evaluating the security at a nearby U.S. diplomatic compound. This compound, where U.S. Ambassador J. Christopher Stevens is expected to stay, lacks the fortifications and personnel necessary to defend against a serious attack. As the GRS members walk through the site, they notice several alarming weaknesses: thin perimeter walls, unarmored gates, and few armed guards. Despite being in a volatile region, the facility is not designed to withstand organized militant threats. The team expresses concern, but their warnings are brushed aside by both the CIA chief and State Department personnel. Tensions rise as the GRS operators, especially Roan and Silva, feel increasingly sidelined by government officials who appear to underestimate the danger. They point out that the local militia hired for protection is unreliable and unlikely to defend the compound if real trouble breaks out. The GRS team remains wary. Their experience tells them this situation is too unstable to take lightly. Still, they're ordered to remain in a support-only role. The operators are frustrated by bureaucratic decisions that limit their ability to act preemptively. With the anniversary of September 11 approaching, and the city simmering with unrest, the team senses that something bad is about to happen, and they may not be allowed to stop it. The U.S. Ambassador Stevens arrives in Benghazi with the goal of rebuilding diplomatic ties and fostering peace in post-Gaddafi Libya. He chooses to stay at the diplomatic compound instead of the more fortified CIA annex. Despite visible security concerns raised by the GRS team, Stevens remains, hoping his presence will symbolize goodwill and promote dialogue with local leaders. Stevens is accompanied by a small State Department team including his communications officer Sean Smith. They know the situation is unstable, but they believe the Libyan militia, hired for protection, will provide sufficient security. The GRS contractors remain uneasy. They've already observed that this militia is loosely organized and may not be reliable in an emergency. As Stevens settles in, he holds meetings with local officials and tries to build rapport with community members. There is a calm before the storm. Daylight in Benghazi feels deceptively safe, but the GRS team quietly notes the changing mood around the city. Militants are becoming more visible. Surveillance of the compound increases. Intel reports hint at a growing threat, especially with the anniversary of the September 11 attacks just hours away. Though the ambassador's intentions are noble, the vulnerability of the compound and lack of serious defense measures worry the GRS operatives. Nightfall approaches, and with it, a feeling that something ominous is closing in on the compound. On the night of September 11, 2012, chaos erupts at the U.S. diplomatic compound in Benghazi. Just after 9:40 p.m., armed militants launch a sudden and organized assault on the facility. The attack is swift and aggressive. Gunfire and explosions shatter the quiet, catching the small American security detail off guard. The compound's outer defenses are quickly breached. The Libyan guards from the 17th February Martyrs Brigade, who were hired to protect the compound, vanish almost instantly. With minimal resistance, the attackers flood into the grounds, setting fire to buildings and firing RPGs. Inside the main building, Ambassador Stevens, Smith, and a diplomatic security agent become trapped in the smoke-filled safe room. The structure is not designed to withstand such an intense assault, and flames spread rapidly. Back at the CIA annex, the GRS team hears the desperate radio calls for help. Tyrone and the team are ready to deploy, but they are ordered to stand down by their CIA station chief. The order causes immediate frustration, especially for Roan and Jack Silva, who know every second counts. As the fire intensifies, Stevens and Smith struggle to breathe. The diplomatic security agent manages to escape, but Stevens and Smith remain inside. Despite their attempts, they cannot find a safe exit. Time is running out. The compound is under siege and the GRS team is left waiting, torn between orders and their instincts to act. Eventually the operators can wait no longer. Tyrone and Chris Ponto lead the decision to defy orders and move out. They race through Benghazi's streets in armored vehicles, determined to save the remaining Americans. Arriving at the burning compound, the team encounters heavy resistance from militants. Gunfire echoes as they fight to secure the area. Inside the compound, visibility is low due to smoke and flames. The team searches desperately for Ambassador Stevens and Smith. They find Smith's body but cannot locate Stevens in the blinding haze. The mission is chaotic, but the GRS team manages to extract surviving personnel, including the diplomatic security agents, and retreat under fire. Their convoy speeds back to the CIA annex, now on high alert. The mood is grim. One man is dead, another is missing, and the enemy knows their location. The team has done everything they could under impossible circumstances. This rescue attempt, while heroic, marks a turning point. The GRS team now understands they are targets, and the night is far from over. A second, more sustained battle is about to begin, at their own doorstep. The GRS operators begin fortifying the building, setting up defensive positions, stacking sandbags, and preparing for what they expect will be another wave of violence. They have little time and limited supply. The CIA personnel are shaken by the attack. Meanwhile, the GRS team grieves the loss of Smith and fears for Ambassador Stevens, still missing in the wreckage of the compound. Despite exhaustion, there's no time to rest. The operators take their positions around the annex, scanning the perimeter in the darkness. The night is far from over. The attackers now know where the Americans are hiding, and the team steels itself for the next inevitable assault, this time on their home base. As midnight passes, the CIA annex comes under heavy fire. Waves of militants launch coordinated attacks, attempting to breach the compound. The GRS team, now operating as the facility's sole line of defense, positions themselves on rooftops and around the perimeter. Their training and discipline prove essential as they repel wave after wave of armed insurgents using small arms, RPGs, and gun trucks. The attackers use darkness as cover, blending with the surrounding neighborhood. The firefights are intense and sustained. Despite being outnumbered and low on supplies, the 6 GRS operators hold their ground, working in shifts to stay alert and maintain fire superiority. CIA staff take shelter inside, relying entirely on the contractors for protection. Meanwhile, the team receives word that Ambassador Stevens has been located at a local hospital, but he has succumbed to smoke inhalation. The news is devastating, but there is no time to grieve. The enemy remains active, and more assaults are expected. The operators stay vigilant, scanning rooftops and alleys for movement, using night vision to detect threats before they arrive. Throughout the night, the GRS team receives no direct military backup. Requests for air support go unanswered. They fight alone, relying only on each other and their training. Despite the chaos, they manage to prevent any breaches. As the darkest hours drag on, the exhausted team braces for more. The threat is unrelenting, and the compound's defense now rests entirely on their shoulders. In the early morning hours of September 12, the situation at the CIA annex escalates. After several hours of sporadic gunfire and attempted breaches, the attackers shift tactics. A sudden, precise mortar strike slams into the compound. Unlike earlier skirmishes, this attack is devastating, rapid, violent, and tragically effective. Tyrone and Glenn Bub Doherty, who had recently arrived from Tripoli as reinforcements, are positioned on the rooftop to help direct defensive fire. As mortars rain down, one shell lands directly on their position. Both men are killed instantly. The blast wounds several others, including a GRS operator who loses part of his arm. As the mortar fire ceases, a heavy silence settles over the annex. They've endured the deadliest part of the night, but the team knows they must stay alert. The mission is not over yet. As dawn breaks over Benghazi, the attackers finally retreat, and the relentless violence at the CIA annex subsides. The surviving GRS team members assess the damage and tend to the wounded, their exhaustion evident but their resolve unbroken. With the immediate threat diminished, plans for evacuation begin in earnest. Libyan security forces, responding to the unfolding crisis, arrive to assist in securing the area. Their presence, while limited, allows the Americans to prepare for a safer departure. The CIA personnel, contractors, and wounded are loaded into armored vehicles and escorted toward Benghazi's airport. The team's focus shifts to ensuring the safe transport of everyone, including the remains of their fallen comrades Tyrone and Glenn. The loss of these men weighs heavily on the group, and their sacrifice is honored with somber reflection during the journey. At the airport, the evacuees board planes arranged by the U.S. government for their extraction. The GRS team remains vigilant, knowing that the danger in Benghazi has not disappeared entirely, even as they leave the city behind. The GRS operators, having witnessed the raw brutality of the attack firsthand, struggle with the trauma but take pride in their actions. Their willingness to risk everything in defense of their fellow Americans is honored, but also underscores the complexities and dangers of covert operations abroad. It ends with a somber reminder of the cost of war and the ongoing challenges faced by those who serve in secret roles around the world. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more in-depth recaps and reviews. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the hidden truths in every story.